On stage, Mother Mary, a global pop star at the absolute peak of her career, seems completely untouchable. Wrapped in blinding lights and wearing surreal garments, her followers acclaim her as a true deity. She sings, dances, and commands the world right in front of her. However, the music stops, and the illusion immediately crumbles back in the dressing rooms. While trying on a new outfit, this exhausted woman loses herself completely in her own mind over something she cannot explain. Without warning, she vanishes right in the middle of her tour. Days later, on a remote rural property in Europe, Sam Anselm is working in her cold, dilapidated sewing workshop. In the middle of a storm, the famous singer, arriving completely soaked, walks in without knocking and desperately looks for Sam. Upon bursting into the room, the woman finds the designer and utters a single, enigmatic request. She needs a dress. Once she calms down, she admits she should have called ahead, but Sam only reproaches her for showing up at such a busy time, as she is working intensely on preparations for her upcoming presentation. Sam is an internationally renowned designer and the creative mind who once constructed the entire identity, the dresses, and the myth behind the famous singer. Mary apologizes repeatedly, running into heavy sarcasm from Sam, who questions the lack of specificity in her regret and accuses her of always leaving the entire workload on everyone else. Their conversation reveals that both broke off all communication years ago due to past betrayals and conflicts that ultimately drove them apart. When Sam questions her visit once again, Mary confesses that she urgently needs a dress. Despite having a whole team of stylists, things did not work out with them, and the outfit chosen from a well-known brand feels completely wrong to her, as it does not reflect her true identity. With only 3 days left before the event, Mary admits she came there because she had no other alternative. Ultimately, the designer agrees to help her under one strict condition: the artist must stay there and confront whatever it is she is trying to escape from. From that moment on, both will work in a dark and inhospitable workshop on the outskirts of the compound, dominated by the cold wood, heavy silences, and the relentless lashing of the rain outside. While taking her measurements, the singer struggles to explain the vision she has for her garment. Amid the vague descriptions, Mary firmly points out that she wants absolutely nothing in red. She even talks to her about the song she plans to perform while wearing the dress, Ghostly Action, a completely unreleased composition of her own creation. Right away, she offers to play it, proudly asserting that it could be the greatest piece of music ever written in human history. However, her enthusiastic comments are met with complete indifference from the designer. After taking all the measurements, Sam notices a striking scar on Mary's back for a brief moment. Sam sends her assistant to the main house to fetch some things, and, left alone, assures the singer that the assistant will not say a word about her whereabouts. Now, confined and at the mercy of their own secrets, the designer asks her directly about her mother, to which Mary coldly responds that she passed away. Sam begins to question her intensely. She mentions the fact that she has been keeping a low profile, which confirms that this event will be her very first public appearance since the controversy. Faced with questions about what actually happened with that viral video everyone saw, she admits there is much more to the story. Sam admits that people wouldn't stop asking her whether it had been an accidental fall, an intentional jump, or a nervous breakdown. Yet when pressing for the real motives, Mary flatly refuses to reveal them, fearing Sam will just laugh at her. Laughing, Sam denies it and admits she is imagining the worst-case scenario, trying to find the true justification behind Mary's actions. Although the singer insists she will not tell her anything, Sam knows perfectly well that the reasons will end up coming to light sooner or later, since the need to vent and let it all out is completely obvious. In the end, the experienced designer remarks sharply that she can wait. As they work in the studio, the atmosphere grows increasingly tense. With a striking piece of red lace contrasting against the singer's face, Sam feels tempted to make her a suit out of it, but Mary flatly refuses. The conversation shifts to the details of her headpiece, where Sam mentions including a halo as an accessory. She firmly rejects the proposal, expressing her desire to go back to a much more basic style and distance herself completely from that element, claiming it should have never become her signature look. Faced with Sam's concern that the public might not recognize her without that piece, she sadly confesses that wearing it is genuinely painful. Sam attributes this discomfort to other designers' over-the-top attempts to make the accessory increasingly flashy and poorly structured. Right away, she offers to craft a brand new, comfortable version in just a matter of seconds. However, Mary delivers a resounding no and firmly insists that she does not want to wear anything of the sort. Even so, the designer leaves open the possibility of imposing her own aesthetic criteria for the performance. Right at that moment, Sam has a vision of a Mother Mary from the past, a true strike of inspiration. The designer interrupts her own train of thought by throwing out a blunt question. What is the real purpose of this reunion? Is she looking for a radical change? Through gestures, Mary clarifies that her goal is to strip away everything accumulated in the past to achieve total clarity and authenticity. She wants to project a much sharper side with a defined purpose. As Sam begins to sketch, Mary asks how she would dress her if this were her very first performance, to which the designer nostalgically reminds her that she already did that in the past. When the singer asks her to dress her as if it were her final show, Sam offers to craft a monumental farewell outfit. The artistic atmosphere turns highly concerning, and although Mary dismisses the idea of going through an extreme crisis, Sam firmly reminds her that she can always walk away from her career if it no longer brings her any satisfaction. The singer confesses to feeling completely unable to quit because she doesn't know how to do anything else, deeply regretting having lost the joy that her art used to bring her. Sam reminds her that things will never be the same as before, but assures her with absolute conviction that this event will be her greatest performance yet. Finally, she encourages her to channel that sadness to connect deeply with the audience, because her true talent lies in making people genuinely care about her. Frustrated with the design, Sam discards it completely and shifts her focus back to Mary. Their conversation reveals that another artist, a close friend named Miel Contreras, is performing right before her. Although she claims to feel proud and happy about her major success, Sam notices a certain tone of bitterness and predicts that she will end up completely overshadowing her on stage without even trying to. Mary immediately accuses her of obsessively looking for flaws and making them up when she can't find any just to benefit her own designs, whereas Sam justifies it as an essential part of her job to understand which aspects she needs to highlight. In the middle of the confrontation, the singer confesses that her only wish is for her to collaborate with an open heart and without fear. Both recognize that resorting to these confrontations is their usual way of dealing with things. Finally, Mary admits that after Miel sings, she will do her thing. Hearing the uncertainty in her voice, Sam questions her once again. After confessing that the new song isn't good enough, Mary pleads with her to listen to it. However, Sam refuses, arguing that she would end up making a design for the song rather than for her. She even excuses herself by saying that she is currently in an ascetic phase, trying to avoid the things she likes. Curious, she inquires about the meaning behind the title. Mary clarifies that the lyrics deal more with inexplicable bonds. The inspiration came after experiencing a powerful connection with someone. Furthermore, she confirms that it features a highly danceable rhythm. Hearing this, the designer commands her to perform the choreography to ensure that the wardrobe is comfortable enough for the presentation. When she asks for a speaker to play the track, Sam firmly insists that she perform the movements in absolute silence. Mary emphasizes that she needs to show her the dance accompanied by the music. Ultimately, Sam admits she prefers not to break her undefeated streak of never listening to her music. Upon witnessing her desperate movements, Sam tells her to stop, but Mary keeps going. She crawls across the floor and thrashes against the furniture until she ends up kneeling and thoroughly exhausted on the ground. Witnessing this, Sam seriously questions how the singer will execute all those movements while singing live. Sam then proposes adding an enormous train made from scraps of her most iconic past outfits, designed specifically to be ripped apart and destroyed on stage, understanding that her former partner desperately seeks both an artistic and personal purification. When Mary asks if that wouldn't be too obvious, Sam confidently replies that it will simply be clarity. With this word, she flashes back to the past, when Mother Mary was on stage singing and dancing to melancholy love songs, sharply contrasting with who she is now. After taking a bath, the singer stumbles upon boxes containing old clothes that Sam had custom made for her, as the designer molded her entire existence. Every stage appearance, every public image, and every single fragment of the icon the world worships was born from her mind. Right at that moment, Sam appears and points out how the piece Mary is holding represents a specific time back when they were still together. Mary asks if it is true that she stopped listening to her music, which she affirms without hesitation. While confirming that she hurt her, Sam explains that that is what feelings are for. However, she confronts her on why she wasn't able to tell her herself that Mother Mary no longer needed her. Fame changed everything. As the artist rose to stardom, the designer was left in the shadows, and their bond fractured. Although Mary argues that she was just looking for a change, Sam throws in her face that she made the decision behind her back, shutting her out completely and leaving her a million miles away. She expresses the harsh blow of realizing how little she mattered on a personal level upon discovering that all her effort served a figure adored by the entire world. Despite believing she was doing valuable work, stitch after stitch, she ended up erasing her own identity. When she heard her sing for the first time, her goal was to design an outfit that made her look imposing, like a true Joan of Arc, a concept to which she ended up giving pieces of her own essence. Every detail was a bit of her story, which she didn't expect her to tell, but at least she would have liked to receive credit for it. As Sam spreads out the fabric and begins to cut, the singer admits she pushed her out of her life, but reminds her that she was the one who had to go on stage to perform the songs and feel them. However, Mary needed a change, clarifying that she never considered the relationship they shared to be over, and that she was the one who shut the door on her. Sam reminds her there never was a door, to which Mary expresses how tiring metaphors are. Then, the designer emphasizes to Mary that she took a path she couldn't follow, forcing her to build her own way so as not to be left completely alone. Even though Mary considers that a good thing, Sam admits that in order to move forward, she had to learn to hate her. With this revelation, Mary asks if that means the new design is made out of resentment. Upon confirming her suspicions, the singer tries to convince her that this anger isn't real, since otherwise she would have never let her into the house. With heavy irony, Sam challenges her to actually work hard to win back her affection, instead of always expecting everyone else to do all the work for her. As the designer walks away, Mary asks for a chance to prove her commitment the only way she knows how, by finally playing her new song, offering her her art. With absolute honesty, she admits it is the only valuable thing she has left to offer her. Unmoved, Sam confesses that her greatest flaw, or virtue, is being extremely stubborn. Unlike Mary, she is incapable of changing radically or transforming into what others expect overnight. She claims she has learned to live perfectly fine without her presence, to the point of turning off the TV or changing the radio whenever she comes on, living by a strict all or nothing philosophy, making it clear that she doesn't need her the way the rest of the world does. Then, she recounts what she experienced the last time she heard her sing at Hyde Park. Although she was in the very front row hoping she would notice her, she realized with deep bitterness that she was witnessing a marvelous show she was no longer a part of. While the crowd and the artist herself were on another plane, Sam's frustration was such that she clenched her jaw so hard, her wisdom tooth fractured. With that sharp pain which she associated with her, she fled the concert before the final song and, back in her workshop, grabbed a pair of pliers and pulled the tooth out herself. Noticing Mary's horrified face, the designer laughs and clarifies that she actually went to the dentist. Upon waking up from the anesthesia and noticing her missing tooth, a deep sadness washed over her. It was the exact same feeling of helplessness she experienced during her childhood whenever her family relocated, forcing her to abandon a home she had already learned to love. When Mary tries to step closer to Sam, her storytelling cuts her off immediately. The designer reveals that she received an unexpected visitor that very night. She woke up with a start, noticing that her gums were bleeding again, leaving a trail across the comforter. Something had crawled out of her mouth, making its way down the bed onto the floor. Despite not being a believer in the supernatural, she confesses that she had never seen an apparition until that precise moment. A specter materialized at the foot of her bed. The entity seemed to fuse multiple shapes at once and was a female figure, or at least the abstract idea of a woman. The apparition emanated a red color that wasn't perceived as a simple hue, but as an intense emotional vibration. Although it was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen, Sam understood she couldn't keep it there, so she opened the door and watched it recede down the hallway, leaving the house to finally lose itself in the darkness of the woods. Once the entity left, the designer experienced total relief. The pain in her mouth, the knot in her stomach, and the emptiness in her heart disappeared at that exact moment. Following this event, she decided to stop listening to the artist's songs, erasing her completely from her thoughts and her dreams. Ever since then, her life improved radically. When asked where the specter went, Sam replies that it went to the place where ghosts go when they are no longer needed. She clarifies that it wasn't a traditional spirit or an apparition that others could have seen, but quite possibly a manifestation created by her own subconscious because she needed to receive that message. However, Mary firmly claims to have seen the very same entity. Although the designer reacts with skepticism, she seriously insists that she also witnessed that red spiritual figure. Finally, she reveals that the first time it appeared to her was in Dublin during Stop 96 of her tour. She was exhausted, but wanted to do something special since it was her birthday. When the show ended, the artist welcomed a fan named Imogen into her dressing room. Following the congratulations, the girl clarifies that she had been waiting patiently in line for 2 hours due to a mix-up with her seats. When Mary asks her what she thought of the show, Imogen enthusiastically describes it as a religious experience. Then, the young woman returns the question, "How does it feel to have 18,000 people gathered just to see you? And how are you able to handle such a burden?" Without saying much, she answers that she simply receives it. Later that night, Mary, Imogen, and company gather, and the seance begins in the dressing room. Imogen claims that the place is inhabited by spirits. After turning off the lights, one of the companions asks if ghosts need the darkness, to which the young medium clarifies that it is not for them, but rather for the living to open themselves up to their dimension. As they join hands, Imogen recites words of welcome for the spirits, and Mary asks to repeat the words. Suddenly, a clumsy joke from one of those present startles the group, but the atmosphere shifts completely. Imogen senses a strange presence and states that it is a female entity coming from a very distant place. The spirit, addressing the artist as her dear and most precious presence, describes the painful and eternal ordeal she has suffered, traveling across land and sea to find her. Using Imogen as a vessel, the entity speaks of her bleeding feet, her aching bones, and a heavy melancholy she wears in her hair like a braid made of misery. The being reveals that she carries all of the singer's sorrows on her shoulders, and that pain bites at her heels. She assures them that her long journey is about to end and that she will soon be able to rest on a bed of gold. After so much time, the artist is finally within her reach. The entity demands to be heard and felt, issuing a final command to the artist: open the door to let her love in. With those words, a possessed Imogen cuts her hand. While Sam points out that she was stabbed, the singer corrects her and asserts that what she actually did was open a door. Following the attack, Mary vaguely remembers how they bandaged her up while the security team made their rounds and the rest of the people retired to rest. Although she tried to sleep that night, the spirit's disturbing words echoed over and over in her mind. She was very close. While she was taking a bath in the tub, she could feel the specter enter through her wound, and then she could see her. It isn't a voice or a traditional spirit, but an image, a red dress. The garment appears and moves, thrashing around as if it had a life of its own. Terrified, Mary exits naked and flees down the hallways until her assistant finds her. Every time they asked her if she wanted to stop, she flatly refused and chose to keep going in an almost mechanical way, while repeating, like an obsessive and desperate mantra, that singing her songs is the only thing she knows how to do. Mother Mary performed at every single show, each one more demanding than the last, until once again, the entity manifested right in front of her on stage. The instant the singer finished, she took a step back and let herself fall, caught on camera by the audience. Although she survived, the singer admits that thousands of cameras captured the exact same thing. The entity was not there, yet she maintains what she saw that night with that same unwavering firmness. Since then, she has been unable to sleep or heal her wounds, relying on a countless number of pills just to get through the day-to-day. She feels the specter's presence inside her every passing minute, like a cloud or a stone embedded in her being. Mary assumes that her new purpose or job in life is to keep that entity sheltered within herself. Even so, she no longer knows how much longer she can bear such a burden before breaking completely. Finally, she throws a question out to Sam. Is she capable of believing her word? Breaking the silence, Sam asks the artist for the exact distance between London and Dublin, calculating it to be around 500 or 600 kilometers, and reflects on how long it would take a person to travel that distance on foot. Right away, she links this journey to the time that passed from that concert at Hyde Park, where her tooth fractured, to the fateful show number 96 in Dublin. Then she concludes that exactly 4 years went by, just enough time for a pain to walk that distance. Using the excuse of checking her measurements, the designer invites her to look at the facts from another perspective. She reminds her that they have known each other for about 24 or 25 years, which doesn't seem insignificant. Then, she establishes a hypothesis. If there really is an entity inside her that traveled across the ocean to find her, perhaps the true place of origin of that apparition is within herself. While Mary feels forced to contain and hide the entity inside her, Sam states confidently that she wants it out of their lives. Wiping away Mary's tears, the designer declares that they must cast it out. When the artist asks her how, Sam takes a piece of chalk and draws a circle on the floor, asserting that it can't be that difficult after having seen enough movies. Mary confesses her fear and expresses the simple desire to focus on the design of your dress. But Sam insists that this process is an essential part of the job, since the woman in red is the very same entity she wrote her song about. Therefore, the dress must also reflect her. Once Mary steps inside the circle, she can immediately feel the presence of the spirit. Sam brings over several objects that she defines as offerings and totems to focus the energy. She explains that things do not possess any magical value of their own, and that it is people who give them true meaning. Taking the scissors, she points out that they will now be the key to open any door. A chain becomes a bond to connect with whomever they find. A piece of metal functions as a protective sword. Finally, she pulls an old garment out of a chest, which will be the oil used to anoint themselves while awaiting their own Pentecost. Both sit inside the circle surrounded by candles, and Mary asks her the reason behind all of this. Sam reveals that it is their very last chance to do something together before she leaves for good with her dress and is left all alone again. Fearfully, Mary tries to recite the incantation, to which Sam asks her to give her her hands, close her eyes, and synchronize their breathing. Sam welcomes the spirit, and in a firm voice, clarifies that although it is welcome and deeply loved, it will find no refuge in their bodies or in her house. Instead, she offers her words as a guide toward the exit, beginning to solemnly recite a list of titles from Mother Mary's discography. As Sam obsessively repeats the command to go out into an outside world that she describes as brighter and more beautiful, Mary tells her that the entity needs a pathway to leave and proceeds to prick her finger, inviting the designer to do the same. Because the exit is too small, Mary takes the keys and cuts her chest so Sam can extract the ghost, successfully transforming the specter of their mutual trauma into a harmless piece of fabric. Right then, Mother Mary's team bursts into the workshop, completely horrified. With cameras waiting outside the property, Sam comforts the singer and promises her that once she wakes up, she will have a finished piece to show her. Working tirelessly through the night, Sam asks her assistant for the time and begins to narrate what is happening in the outside world, as if she could visualize it. She describes performer Miel Contrera finishing her set and saying goodbye to the audience as darkness falls over the venue. From the back of the theater, Mother Mary emerges, moving down the aisle and glowing brightly after traveling from across the ocean and from another world. Blinded by spotlights, the artist addresses the crowd, proclaiming how much she missed them, but reveals that the song she is about to perform is not dedicated to them, but exclusively to Sam. Simultaneously, Mary walks toward the stage, tearing away every element of her wardrobe. Sam closes her eyes as Mary begins to perform her song, the greatest piece in history. There, she witnesses Mother Mary in the fabulous red dress floating across the stage. Finally, the singer repeats 3 times the heartfelt apology Sam always wanted to hear.